Counting Scotland's votes. Here's where we start. The Scottish Parliament is made up of 129 members who you elect. This breaks down into 73 local constituency MSPs and 56 regional MSPs. In Scotland, we use two different voting systems to elect each group, and they get counted in two different ways. We're going to explain how they each work, and more importantly, how they work together. First of all, let's look at how the 73 local MSPs are elected. Everybody has one local MSP who is elected using the first past the post system. Whoever gets the most votes wins. Here are our 5 candidates in our local constituency. Everyone who lives in the constituency is entitled to choose who they want to vote for, and the one with the most votes wins. But what about all the voters who didn't choose the winner? Well, in Scotland, that's where our 56 regional MSPs come in. Your regional vote is a chance to choose the party you prefer. Scotland is divided into 8 regions, as you can see on this map. The 8 regions are Highlands and Islands, North East Scotland, the West of Scotland, Central Scotland, Mid Scotland and Fife, Lothians, Glasgow, and the South of Scotland. Each region elects 7 MSPs, so everyone has 8 MSPs representing them, the 7 regional people and the 1 local person. Votes for regional MSPs, as we said, get counted differently from votes for the local MSPs. Let's look in detail at the Lothians region in 2011 to demonstrate. Lothians has 9 local constituency MSPs, as well as the 7 regional MSPs. In 2011, 8 of the constituencies were won by the SNP and 1 by Labour. But this was the actual share of the vote. This is why we count the regional votes differently, so that the final makeup of the Parliament at Holyrood better matches how people actually voted. On the regional list for the Lothians in 2011, voters had 14 different political parties and 4 independent candidates to choose from. And here's how many votes they all got. So how do these regional votes get shared out? To work it out, the people who count the votes use a system devised by a mathematician called Victor de Hondt. Victor de Hondt died in 1901, which is probably lucky for him, because there are a lot of people who would want to speak to him if he was around. His slightly complicated formula is, however, used all over the world, not just in Scotland, and it looks like this. The equation is basically votes divided by seats plus 1, and we use it before we allocate the regional votes, and then repeat it each time one of those regional votes is allocated. After this series of mathematical equations, the 7 regional seats are shared out more fairly, taking into account how successful each political party has already been in the region as we go. Let's look at who won the first seat in Lothians in 2011. Remember, at this stage, the SNP have already won 8 of the constituencies and Labour have won 1. So, the SNP regional total gets divided by 1 plus 8, that's de Hondt's formula, and Labour's total gets divided by 1 plus 1. Everyone else's totals stay the same. So now that we've done that first calculation, we can see who has the most votes and wins the first regional seat. Labour are in the lead, so they win seat number 1. So, let's look at seat number 2. Now, because Labour have 2 MSPs, the constituency one they got at the beginning and the regional seat they've just won, we go back and divide their total regional vote by 3. Don't ask why, it's just how de Hondt works. To work out the totals for seat number 2. This time around, the party with the most votes is the Conservatives, so they win seat number 2. And we move on to seat number 3. This time, it's the Conservatives' total vote that's divided by 2. That's de Hondt again, which puts Labour back into the lead, and they get seat number 3. On to seat number 4. Labour have 3 MSPs, so we divide their total vote by 4, which puts the Green Party in the lead. So they win seat number 4. and their total gets divided by 2. Seat number 5 goes to our independent, Margot MacDonald, because she has the most votes at this stage, and her total theoretically gets divided by 2, but as she's on her own, we sort of disregard her from here on in. Seat number 6 goes to Labour, who now have 3 regional MSPs, as well as that one constituency MSP, 4. So we go back and divide their total vote by 5, because we're adding 1. That's how D'Hondt works. That brings us to the final list seat, number 7, which goes to the Conservatives, as their new total, after dividing by 2, is still higher than anyone else. One thing to point out at this stage is that neither the SNP nor the Lib Dems have won a list seat. Once the SNP regional total was divided by the number of constituencies they had won, they had fewer votes than the Lib Dems, who also didn't have enough to win a regional seat at all. Now we can see how those results impact on the Lothians region as a whole. You've got your original constituency winners, 8 SNP and 1 Labour. You now also have another 3 Labour, 2 Conservative, 1 Green and 1 Independent, a grand total of 8 SNP, 4 Labour, 2 Conservative, 1 Green and 1 Independent, which looks much more like the way the vote was shared out. That exercise gets repeated in every region, and that's how we decide who gets to go to Holyrood. A quick recap. You get 2 votes in the Scottish Parliament election. The ballot paper for your constituency MSP will list the names of the candidates and should be lilac. And the winner is the person with the most votes. The ballot paper for your regional MSPs will list the names of the parties as well as any independent candidates, and it should be peach. That regional vote gets divided using the D'Hondt system, which we just explained. And then each region sends 7 regional MSPs and their local constituency MSPs to the Scottish Parliament. So, in Scotland, everyone has 8 people in the Scottish Parliament representing them, so if you ever need their help, you can contact anyone or all of them. You can find out who your candidates are and more information about McNeill and Stone and how we help ordinary people influence the political system by visiting us at mcneillandstone.co.uk. If you've liked this video and think it was informative, please do consider donating to our crowdfunder, which will help us do more work like this and help more people. Thank you.